Good morning, people. Watch Woman 65. Lisa Boyce here. I'm not feeling very good this morning. I haven't felt good for the past 3 days. I don't have the coronavirus, so don't go there with that. I just have a slight stomach virus, with along with my voice not doing too good. So bear with me this morning. But I do have an update about that asteroid that went through. That asteroid, I knew it was going to trigger a bunch of earthquakes, and it did. It triggered a bunch of earthquakes this morning. Trish, my friend Trish, who's also a family member on this channel, she has the same app, and it really, it triggered some earthquakes, and I don't have it with me now. But if I'm not mistaken, it triggered a bunch in Puerto Rico and all over. So it did what I said it was going to do last night. I said that if it didn't hit, it would definitely trigger earthquakes or tsunamis or volcanoes or all of the above. And that's what it did. But I want to give you an update on this coronavirus. And I got a video off of a couple who, I guess, on that Princess Cruise ship. And the one was taken in because she tested positive for the virus. So they took her to a hospital in Fukushima. That sounds like Japan, and it sounds like where the nuclear fallout was about a year ago, whenever. And they're testing the rest of the, I guess they're going to remove some of the people off of that ship and bring them over into either Texas or California to quarantine them. But I got this morning from Natural News. I'm going to leave the link of this right in the description box. It says here the U.S. military pandemic plans activated. Nation must prepare for thousands of cases of the coronavirus to arrive, warns biowarfare expert. Now it says here, over the last week, they've been repeatedly warned that the coronavirus strain is right now being harvested by enemies of America, North Korea, Iran, China, etc., for ready deployment as a weapon system. Oh, I just got something else. Hold on just a second. Ready for deployment as a weapon system against the United States of America. Until today, I seem to have been the only person in the world who dared to point out the obvious. This is off this report. I knew it was a weapon. I mean, you can't ignore that. This is definitely a weapon, a bioweapon. But now the executive director of the Bipartisan Commission of the Biodefense, speaking at a Senate Home Security Committee just yesterday, confirmed the obvious point, saying we have to plan for the possibility that we have thousands of cases. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a pandemic. It says here today, his name is Asa George, and he was one of 5 experts who testified before the U.S. Senate, reports the Epoch Times. Another expert from former FDA Director Scott, I can't pronounce his last name, who warned that unrestrained immigration would bring the virus to America. Ladies and gentlemen, listen up. This is a weapon, and they're using it. We should be leaning in very aggressively to try to broaden diagnostic screening right now, particularly in communities where there's a lot of immigration, where these efforts could emerge to identify them early enough that they'll be small enough that we can intervene to prevent more epidemic spread in this country. This thing is airborne and is open. Thousands of people. He also added that because the virus spread during the asymptomatic incubation phase, airport screening is only catching 1 out of 4 infections. This means airport screening, just as we have warned here, is largely just a security theater. Now, it says here the U.S. military Northern Command issues executive order to prepare the military for global coronavirus pandemic. In addition to various U.S. officials warning the Senate about the coming wave of the corona infections, the United States military, Northern Command, just issued an executive order commanding troops to initiate military pandemic plans, according to the article published in militarytimes.com. The plans include ordering commanders to prepare for widespread outbreaks and confining service members with a history of travel to China, reports Military Times. The Naval and Marine Corps messages issued Tuesday and Wednesday respectively reference an executive order directing U.S. Northern Command to implement the Department of Defense Global Campaign Plan for pandemic influenza and infectious diseases. The document serves as the Pentagon's blueprint for planning and preparing the widespread dispersion of influenza and previously unknown diseases. Now the military's involved. Now the government's involved. It's just a matter of time, people. We're getting ready to fly out of here very soon. This Pope, not to get off the subject, this Pope is introducing to the UN his new world order. Now this Pope, like I said before, this Pope, I believe, is the false prophet. There's no doubt about it. I'm sorry. He's presenting something to the UN on the same lines of the New World Order. He's supposed to give another speech in Israel on May 14th or 15th, the day of Israel's declaration, the same speech that he's giving at the UN, either today or tomorrow. People, it's just a matter of time. Let me finish this story. The U.S. Command said Wednesday it was directed the Joint Staff February 1st to commence what's called prudent planning in their assigned role, synchronizing the department's plans for pandemic flu and disease. The global pandemic just got militarized. In other words, probably soon martial law or martial medical law. Yeah. China just essentially declared, I just said that, military martial law and activated a full military response against the coronavirus pandemic. So anybody who thinks this thing is just something that's going to pass, get your head out of the sand. This thing is serious. It's on the rise and is now a global pandemic. Making things even more interesting, China's CDC just issued a series of military orders that essentially place the entire nation under military martial law. I'm going to put this article in the description box. Now, like I said before, the church is getting ready to leave. And I said this before. We're not going to be here. We're not going to be here when all hell breaks loose. I see the church leaving soon because this thing is getting worse. That's what I see. It says much of China's declaration centers around wartime commands that demand absolute loyalty and zero errors in logistics and control of local regions. Here's a rough translation from one of the directives. Directive 5. It says here, the current situation of epidemic prevention and control is extremely serious. The responsibility of prevention and control is heavier than that of Mount Tai. With the coming battle, all party branches should think and launch, unite the masses, and commit fully to the role of battle fortress. At all levels should lead by example. Dare to take on the role and give full commitment to the leading role. And each party member should rush forward, shudder the heavy burden, and give full commitment to the role and pioneer and model. All party branches and cadres at all levels should earnestly fulfill their main responsibility, and disciplinary committees shall fulfill its supervisory responsibilities to ensure the smooth flow of degrees and the prohibition of the operation. That's their wartime thing. So in other words, it says, listen to this, it says here, if you can make sense of any of that, you might fit in well with the communist society. That's their thing. In other words, anybody get out of hand, kill them. Basically is what they're saying. With all its core and rooted in total insanity and delusion. Don't forget, China is a communist nation. And the sad thing is, there's a bunch of Christians in China right now. And I mean, they are radically saved. Those are the people we have to pray for to get out of this thing. In fact, the very structure of communism makes society highly vulnerable to pandemics, since no truth tellers are allowed to warn anyone about the outbreak. Censorship gets people killed. That is true. Both in communist China and in the US, where the evil tech giants are also complacent in covering up the truth about the corona pandemic. The bottom line, governments of the world know this is going global, and they are activating their military forces to be prepared for anything. So as this is becoming rather obvious, the corona pandemic is global. Every nation that's paying attention and ordering its military to activate pandemic readiness measures. U.S. military commanders and national defense experts are already well aware that the coronavirus will inevitably be deployed against the United States of America as a biological weapon. I don't know what more I have to say about this. But the church, like I said earlier, the church is about to be leaving out of here. And this thing is going to go on a war path, basically. They are also aware that the deliberate contamination efforts cannot be stopped in any way whatsoever. There is no defense against an infected person covertly entering the U.S. and walking around the city, infecting people, infecting public surfaces, and shared air in public transport. I'm going to leave the rest of this here and let you read it. But basically, this is telling you that this is the military is involved and this is a global epidemic. No one in position of power will admit the truth because the public can't handle the truth. Remember the movie A Few Good Men? When Jack Nicholson told Tom Cruise, you can't handle the truth. That's the same way it is here. As all of this is unfolding at the highest levels, the public is being kept in the dark so that they don't panic. Really? By learning the truth. We're basically in a situation where a metaphorical 100-mile wide asteroid is plunging towards New York at a velocity of 10,000 miles an hour, with an impact triple to confirm, but nobody in the government wants to alarm the public since it's pointless to warn people about an event of such magnitude. The coronavirus won't cause mass extinction, but it could very easily cause devastation, even catastrophic disruptions to human-driven economies, resulting in waves of death, not to mention the stock market. Now, obviously, this was written yesterday before the asteroid passed the Earth already. But it did, like I said earlier, that asteroid did trigger a lot of earthquakes. So like I said, I'm going to come back later to bring you more updates. And I'm going to leave that video. It's a YouTube video. I'm going to leave it in the description box also. So in the meantime, I'll be back later. Thank you.